The Fujita scale and enhanced Fujita scale, also known as the F and EF scale, is how tornado experts rate tornadoes. They rate them from 0 being relatively weak to the devastating and dangerous 5. Today we'll be going over the history of the Fujita and enhanced Fujita scale, how each one works, and some interesting facts at the end. Starting us off today, we'll jump right into the history of the Fujita and enhanced Fujita scale. The Fujita scale was the first tornado scale used between 1971 to 2007. It is more commonly known as the F scale, however, it is also known as the Fujita-Pearson scale or the FPP scale. Meteorologist Tetsuya Theodore Fujita, better known as Ted Fujita, would begin working on the Fujita scale in 1971 at the University of Chicago alongside the director of National Severe Storms Forecast Center, Alan Pearson. Together, the two would begin working on perfecting the scale. For their original scale, they would make a 13-level scale from F0 to F12 that would mimic the Beaufort scale and the Mach number scale. The Beaufort scale is a scale that was used to measure wind speeds on sea and on land, which was created back in 1805 by Admiral Francis Beaufort. Anyways, back on topic. In the field, Ted and Alan would only use the first 5 levels on the Fujita scale, so they would drop the other levels. However, for a very short while, there was an F6 rating which would be called Inconceivable Tornado. A tornado to get this rating would have to surpass the F5 wind speeds and damage ratings. In total, only 2 tornadoes would ever get this legendary F6 rating, that being the 1974 Xenia, Ohio tornado and the 1970 Lubbock, Texas tornado. Ted Fujita would toy with the idea of giving the 1977 Birmingham Smithfield tornado the rating of F6 before giving it the rating of F5. Later on in 1973, the Fujita scale would take into account the path length and width. During this time, the scale would be used to rate tornadoes that took place between the 1950s to 1971. Ted Fujita would rate tornadoes that took place between 1916 to 1992, while Tom Grzoulis, a legendary tornado expert, would rate significant tornadoes that took place after 1880. There were numerous issues with the Fujita scale, such as the wind speed numbers being higher than the actual wind speed that is required for each level. This is caused by the wind speeds being more of guesses than accurately verified measurements. This is the main reason why the enhanced Fujita scale was created in 2007. Sadly, on November 19, 1998, Tetsuya Theodore Fujita would pass away before ever seeing his original scale be upgraded to the enhanced Fujita scale. During his lifetime, he would discover downbursts and microbursts, develop the original Fujita scale, and become a pioneer in tornado damage surveying techniques. He was also largely a part of the research on the multi-vortex tornadoes, which are tornadoes that have multiple suction vortices that are within the same parent funnel. It was previously believed that the multi-vortex tornadoes were a rare event. However, most powerful tornadoes have multiple suction vortices. The enhanced Fujita scale, otherwise known as the EF scale, was starting to be developed between 2000 to 2004 by the Fujita Scale Enhancement Project of the Wind Science and Engineering Research Center at Texas Tech University. Dozens of meteorological experts and civil engineers alongside many students at the Texas Tech University would work on the project together. In a conference hosted by the American Meteorological Society, the National Weather Service would unveil the EF scale to the world on February 2nd of 2006. The enhanced Fujita scale would be first used in 2007, a year after its public announcement. The new scale would use more damage indicators than the original Fujita scale and would primarily focus on the damage side rather than the wind speed. In November of 2022, a research paper was published stating that a new, more standardized EF scale is in the works. The new scale is expected to combine and create more damage indicators and new methods to accurately calculate wind speeds, which include mobile Doppler radar and forensic engineering. In 2024, Anthony Eliza, Matthew Flournoy, and A. Addison Alford, who are researchers at the NSSL, SPC, CIWRO, and University of Oklahoma School of Meteorology, reported that greater than 20% of supercell tornadoes are capable of producing EF4 to EF5 damage. I'm sorry if I butchered your guys' names. Now let's get into how each scale works, starting off with the original Fujita scale. The Fujita scale has 6 levels on the scale, that being F0, F1, F2, F3, F4, and F5. However, like I said before, there was once an F6 rating before being removed for being practically impossible to occur. Starting us off, we have the F0, which would have wind speeds between 40 to 72 miles per hour or 64 to 116 kilometers per hour, with a 44.14% chance of recurring. The F0 would have light damage, with well-built structures are typically unscathed, though sometimes sustaining broken windows with minor damage to roofs and chimneys. Billboards and large signs can be knocked down. Trees may have large branches broken off and can be uprooted if they have shallow roots. Next, we have the F1, which would have wind speeds between 73 to 112 miles per hour or 117 to 180 kilometers per hour, with a 34.24% chance of occurring. The F1 tornado would have moderate damage, with damage to mobile homes and other temporary structures becoming significant, and cars and other vehicles can be pushed off the road or flipped. Permanent structures can suffer major damage to their roofs. An F2 tornado would have wind speeds between 113 to 157 miles per hour or 181 to 253 kilometers per hour, with 16.17% chance of occurring. An F2 tornado would have significant damage, such as well-built structures can suffer severe damage, including roof losses, and the collapse of some exterior walls may occur in poorly built structures. Mobile homes, however, are destroyed. Vehicles can be lifted off the ground, and lighter objects can become small missiles, causing damage outside of the tornado's main path. Wooded areas have a large percentage of their trees snapped or uprooted. An F3 tornado would have wind speeds between 158 to 206 miles per hour or 254 to 332 kilometers per hour, with 4.35% chance of occurring. An F3 tornado would have severe damage, such as a few parts of affected buildings are left standing, well-built structures lose all outer and some inner walls, unanchored homes are swept away, and homes with poor anchoring may collapse entirely. Trains and train cars are all overturned, small vehicles and similarly small-sized objects are lifted off the ground and tossed as projectiles. Wooded areas suffer an almost total loss of vegetation, and some tree debarking may occur. An F4 tornado would have wind speeds between 207 to 260 miles per hour or 333 to 418 kilometers per hour, with 1% chance of occurring. An F4 tornado would have devastating damage, such as well-built homes are reduced to a short pile of medium-sized debris on the foundation. Homes with poor or no anchoring are swept completely away. Large, heavy vehicles, including airplanes, trains, and large trucks, can be pushed over, flipped repeatedly, or picked up and thrown. Large, healthy trees are entirely debarked and snapped off close to the ground, or uprooted altogether and turned into flying projectiles. Passenger cars and similarly sized objects can be picked up and flung for considerable distances. Finally, an F5 tornado would have wind speeds between 261 to 318 miles per hour or 419 to 512 kilometers per hour, with 0.10% chance of occurring. An F5 tornado would have incredible damage, such as well-built and well-anchored homes are taken off their foundations and would go into the air before obliteration. The wreckage of those homes is flung for miles, and those foundations are swept completely clean. Large steel reinforced structures such as schools are completely leveled. Low-lying grass and vegetation are shredded from the ground. Trees are completely debarked and snapped. Very little recognizable structural debris is generated, with most materials reduced to a coarse mix of small granular particles and dispersed. Large, multi-ton steel frame vehicles and farm equipment are oftentimes mangled beyond recognition and tossed miles away or reduced entirely to unrecognizable parts. Tall buildings collapse or have severe structural deformations. The official description of this damage highlights the extreme nature of the destruction, noting that incredible phenomena can and will occur. Now moving on to the enhanced Fujita scale, which has a total of 7 levels, which are EFU, EF1, EF2, EF3, EF4, and EF5. An EFU tornado would have unknown wind speeds, either miles per hour or kilometers per hour, and has a 3.11% chance of occurring. An EFU has no surveyable damage. Intensity cannot be determined due to a lack of information. The rating applies to tornadoes that traverse areas with no damage indicators, cause damage in an area that cannot be accessed by survey, or cause damage that cannot be differentiated from that of another tornado. An EF0 tornado has wind speeds between 65 to 85 miles per hour or 105 to 137 kilometers per hour and has a 52.82% chance of occurring. An EF0 tornado has minor damage, such as well-built structures are typically unscathed, though sometimes sustaining broken windows with minor damage to roofs and chimneys. Billboards and large signs can be knocked down. Trees may have large branches broken off and may be uprooted if they have shallow roots. An EF1 tornado would have wind speeds between 86 to 110 miles per hour or 138 to 177 kilometers per hour with a 32.98% chance of occurring. An EF1 tornado would have moderate damage, such as damage to mobile homes and other temporary structures becomes significant, and cars and other vehicles may be pushed off the road or flipped. Permanent structures can suffer major damage to their roofs. An EF2 tornado would have wind speeds between 111 to 135 miles per hour or 178 to 217 kilometers per hour with 8.41% chance of occurring. An EF2 tornado would have considerable damage, such as well-built structures can suffer severe damage, including roof losses, and the collapse of some exterior walls may occur in poorly built structures. Mobile homes, however, are destroyed. Vehicles can be lifted off the ground, and lighter objects can become small missiles, causing damage outside of the tornado's main path. Wooded areas have a large percentage of their trees snapped or uprooted. An EF3 tornado would have wind speeds between 136 to 165 miles per hour or 218 to 266 kilometers per hour with a 2.18% chance of occurring. An EF3 tornado would have severe damage, such as a few parts of effective buildings are left standing. Well-built structures lose all outer and some inner walls. Unanchored homes are swept away completely, and homes with poor anchoring may collapse entirely. Trains and train cars are all overturned. Small vehicles and similarly sized objects are lifted off the ground and tossed as projectiles. Wooded areas suffer an almost total loss of vegetation, and some tree debarking may occur. An EF4 tornado would have wind speeds between 166 to 200 miles per hour or 267 to 322 kilometers per hour and has a 0.45% chance of occurring. An EF4 tornado would have devastating damage, such as well-built homes are reduced to a short pile of medium-sized debris on the foundation. Homes with poor or no anchoring are completely swept away. Large, heavy vehicles, including airplanes, trains, and large trucks, can be pushed over, flipped repeatedly, or picked up and thrown. Large, healthy trees are entirely debarked and snapped off close to the ground or uprooted altogether and turned into flying projectiles. Passenger cars and similarly sized objects can be picked up and flung for considerable distances. An EF5 tornado would have wind speeds over 201 miles per hour or 323 kilometers per hour and has a 0.05% chance of occurring. An EF5 tornado would have incredible damage, such as well-built and well-anchored homes are taken off the foundations and they go into the air before obliteration. The wreckage of those homes is flung for miles, and those foundations are swept completely clean. Large steel reinforced structures such as schools are completely leveled. Low-lying grass and vegetation are shredded from the ground. Trees are completely debarked and snapped. Very little recognizable structural debris is generated, with most materials reduced to a coarse mix of small granular particles and dispersed. Large, multi-ton steel frame vehicles and farm equipment are often mangled beyond recognition and tossed miles away or reduced entirely to unrecognizable parts. Tall buildings collapse or have severe structural deformations. The official description of this damage highlights the extreme nature of the destruction, noting that incredible phenomena can and will occur. With the enhanced Fujita scale, it comes along with its damage indicators. There are a total of 28 damage indicators. Let's go through those as well. Before we do, if you want to skip this part, there will be a time at the top of the screen. 1. Small barns or farm outbuildings, SBO. 2. 1 or 2 family residences, FR12. 3. Manufactured home, single wide, MHSW. 4. Manufactured home, double wide, MHDW. 5. Apartments, condos, townhouses, 3 stories or less, ACT. 6. Motel, M. 7. Masonry apartment or motel building, MAM. 8. Small retail building, fast food restaurants, SRB. 9. Small professional building, doctor's office, branch banks, SPB. 10. Strip mall, SM. 11. Large shopping mall, LSM. 12. Large isolated retail building, Walmart, Home Depot, LIRB. 13. Automobile showroom, ASR. 14. Automobile service building, ASB. 15. Elementary school, single story, interior or exterior hallways, ES. 16. Junior or senior high school, JHSH. 17. Low-rise building, 1 to 4 stories, LRB. 18. Mid-rise buildings. 18. Mid-rise building, 5 to 20 stories, MRB. 19. High-rise building, more than 20 stories, HRB. 20. Institutional building, hospital, government, or university building, IB. 21. Metal building system, MBS. 22. Service station canopy, SSC. 23. Warehouse building, tilted up walls or heavy timber construction, WHB. 24. Electrical transmission lines, ETL. 25. Freestanding towers, FST. 26. Freestanding light poles, luminary poles, flagpoles, FSP. 27. Trees, hardwood, TH. And finally, 28. Trees, softwood, TS. I'm going to be blatantly honest with you guys, I truly don't know how they use the damage indicators, only a rough estimate. This isn't super important for this video though. If you guys truly want me to do a video on this, I'll do one on damage surveys. Lastly, I'll be doing some interesting facts about the Fujita and Enhanced Fujita scale. As of 2013, we haven't seen an EF5 tornado in over 11 years, which is a good thing, or a bad thing. The last EF5 was the 2013 Newcastle Moor EF5 tornado that took place on May 20th, 2013. That means we haven't seen an EF5 for 4,204 days, or 11 years, 6 months, and 2 days. There are many ratings that either are or were controversial. One of the big ones is the 2013 El Reno tornado, which was a 2.6 mile wide EF3 beast. Many people believe that it deserves the rating of EF5, however, I like to think otherwise. I mean, the tornado did really only affect rural areas. However, if the tornado did last a bit longer, it could have gone right into Oklahoma City. Then it most likely would have been rated as an EF5. Another semi-controversial tornado rating is that the 2024 Greenfield, Another semi-controversial tornado rating is the 2024 Greenfield, Iowa EF4. In all honesty, I believe that this tornado would have been rated an EF5 and broken our EF5 record. However, it wasn't. A final controversial rating is the 2011 Washington Goldsby EF4, which many state that it should have been rated as an EF5. The way we rate tornadoes has come a long way from hardly being rated to almost every tornado being rated. The Fujita scale has gone through many changes over its years, which led to the Enhanced Fujita scale being developed and adopted by almost all weather services. Sadly, meteorologist Tetsuya Theodore Fujita wouldn't be able to witness his creation in the present day. However, we all know he will never be forgotten. Join me next month when we either talk about anticyclonic tornadoes or go over some tornado myths and legends. I'll have a poll out for you guys to vote on after this video drops. And until next time, friends, this is Tornado Weather, signing off.